a thundercloud, Mum calls me James, washing away the garbage, leaving rainbows after it rains. Let's have some fun and linguistic games in this country of Australia, state of New South Wales, local government area of Armidale Regional Council, and traditional land of the band by people. So welcome to the Australian Poetry Hall of Fame Wednesday Words. Now I am gonna go into this because I'm Gen X, okay? At the moment there's a bit of controversy between the welcome to country people and the not welcome to country people. Well, what's the biggest problem is that basically everyone's attached to their ideas and their belief that they're right. It's everybody's ego. Whether you're on one side or the other side and one side, everybody thinks they're right. Half the problem, if everyone would just get over themselves and man up, pull up their big boy panties or big girl panties and shut that up. Yeah, and just get on with being decent people. That's fair enough. But hey, I'm just here to read poetry. Australian poetry from all kinds of people, and even Canadian poetry sometimes. Like tonight, I'm going to be reading Australian poetry from 1964, and it's got a poem from the great poet Kath Walker, who later on changed the name to Oodgeroo Noonuccal, of the tribe there up on Quandamooka Mob, up there on Stradbroke Island, Minjerribah, as some people call it. And so it's got poetry from her, it's got poetry from other people around the place. There's poems about Australian, poems not about Australia. And there's a poem by Robert Service over there, and he was a Canadian poet. I might finish off that tonight. But first of all, Australian poetry here, 1964, was published by Angus and Robertson, and Randolph Stow was the selector or the editor who went through, and he was one of our brilliant younger novelists of the time. And today, though, I'm going to begin with Dorothy Hewett, and this is called Country Idyll, Idyll. And it comes, I'm going to start off with a concept warning, because it talks about someone finishing themselves off. Country Idyll. A glittering girl went out one day on a dappled horse through the meadow hay, and the quail rose clumsily, freckled brown. In the morning light he rose up high and then dropped down. And sweet, sweet, we all must die, sang the glittering girl on the lowering sky. Oh, she rode down to the gliding river, and the water covered her face forever. And she prayed on horseback all the way, crying, this is the judge of all days, this is the master day. And the sun rose up in a dusty haze, and the plover sank in his song of praise. Oh, the girl went out on the gladsome water, and the farmer searched for that whore, his daughter. He smashed the haycocks, rattled the barn. He said he'd find where the slut was laid if he wrecked the farm, while her lovers squatted in the dust and played two up under the peppermint shade. And the river hid that she'd never been married, and the river hid the child she carried. From the teacup tongues of the town, it hid her breasts and her round high belly as she floated down. But her lovers never came out to see, playing two up under the peppermint tree. Country Idyll by Dorothy Hewett. Another one here. This is by Kath Walker, who as I mentioned earlier, changed the name to Udjuru Noonuckle. This one's called Tree Grave. When our lost one left us for the Shadowland, in bark we bound him, a weeping band, and we bore him wailing, a wild death croon, to his lonely tree grave by the long lagoon. Our wandering fires are now far away, but our thoughts are turning by night and day, where he lives forever under the white moon, by the lit waters of the still lagoon. His hunts are over, and the songs he made, poor lonely fellow, he will be afraid when the night winds whisper their ghostly tune in the haunted swamp oaks by the long lagoon. Tree Grave by Kath Walker. The next one here is by Robert Clark, A Cold East Wind. Cold east wind and the moon is rising, the bleak earth black and the wind is blinding. A spent old moon on her back reclining, to a heart grown sick with too much dying. The heart when young did not feel winter, the moon when new was gold like silver. But now she's a red-faced, blousy figure, and the heart drifts down life's weary river. The moon will vanish and leave no ripple. Night will be dark and minds grow wistful. Then high in the west will come a sickle, the old made young, renewed and simple. Sour must gives wine that stores the summer. Dead leaves make soil in the smother. Life goes on, the heart laid under. Time's endless passion will recover. Cold East Wind by Robert Clark. This is appropriate for just having passed the Anzac Day period of our remembrance. Les Murray, A New England Farm, August 1914. August is the windy month, the month of cirrus flags in heaven. August is the fiery month, the wind-swept doorstep of the year. But who is this rider on the road with urgent spurs of bleeding silver? August is the winter's death. He dries the rotted June rain in the earth, stiffens the fat root, ignites within the peach tree, flower and seed. August is time to think of facing ploughshares, of getting new boots, and the first calves shivering in the grass, still wet with birth slime. But who is this rider at the gate? Why do the people run to listen? August is the New Year's hinge. Time out of mind we've stacked and rattled autumn. Cornstokes on the river flat for burning. Watching the birds come dodging through the smoke to feast on beetles, time out of mind. We've retraced last year's furrows with the plough. How can this August fail us? Why do the young men saddle horses? Why do the women grieve together? A New England Farm, August 1914, by Les A. Murray. Now I go across to a Rosemary Dobson poem, Across the Straits. Down from his post in the tower of glass, concrete and steel, when daylight drained from the city, he sank like a stone in a well. The maiden cries in the lift well all night for a severed head, but the doors, like knives behind him, closed on the air instead. And 7 head-scarfed furies began to polish and swill the murderous marbled flooring, to try for his undipped heel. Oh, there is peril in cities. But he gained the outermost door, and he paused like a swimmer, ready to try for a fabled shore. And he cried as he cried ever nightly, aloud to the deities, safe conduct, gods, to my loved one over those battering seas. As a tumult of waves, the traffic roared against concrete and steel, and he cleft through the shoals of impeding crowds and dived under the swell. She has hung her lit lamp in the window. She presses her face to the pane in a wild commotion of longing. She waits for his coming again. Oh, there is peril in cities. He shall not escape as he please, and Hero shall watch for Leander in vain on those dark, bitter seas. Rosemary Dobson, Across the Straits. Oh, this one is interesting. It's by Judith Wright and it's called The Beanstalk, Meditated Later. What's fortune that we pray it may be mild? The beans I carried home that careless day, I thought were toys, and I, a clever child, but mother scolded, throwing them away. The subtlest traps have just such pretty bait. Well, she was right. That beanstalk reached a sky where giants cheat us. We must sulk. We must skulk and wait and steal our fortune back to mock them by. Who was my father? See where that doubt leads. The ladder grew so pat out of our garden. Perhaps my mother recognised its seeds. Giants have trampled earth and asked no pardon. Well, nor did I. He took our family's gold. I stole it back and saw the giant die. 4 days to bury him. Now I've grown old. But still, the giants trample in the sky. Yes, still I hear them and I meditate. Old, rich, respected Maudlin, says my son, upon our generations and our fate, does each repeat the thing the last has done, though claiming he rejects it? Once I stood beside my beanstalk, clever boy, and crowed I'd kill the giant, Tom Thumb, whose luck was good. But now, what farmer saved the seed I sowed? For somewhere, still that dizzy ladder grows, pathway for tit for tat, from here to there, and what's the traffic on it? No man knows. Sometimes I hug my gold in pure despair, watching my son, my cocky enemy, big, ugly, boastful. It's the giant strain come out in him. I think, I watch, and he watches me. The gold is in his brain. I'll post a proclamation, advertise, find that farmer by his whole year's crop, burn the lot and see the last seed dies. This treacherous commerce with the sky must stop. But one seed, yes, I'll plant, that for my son. I'll send him up, wait, and when he's crawled far enough, I'll lay the axe blows on and send him sprawling where his grandpa sprawled. That's funny. The Beanstalk Meditated Later by Judith Wright. And this is Max Harris, Cinderella's Ball, Meditated Later. Best referred to, it would seem in some future tense, a never-to-be midnight and a steepling of bells, plunging down into a forgettable mind and then immense shock remembrance and flight back to homely hells. Poor Cinderella, who thought it would never end the glitter of chandeliers and eyes that the princely dance praise, communion and illusion, though it would never shatter to a lost glass slipper, a sense of déjà vu on smoky days. This was the shape it took. 12 o'clock came, ride rather a tiger than pumpkin to that sure midnight. Cinderella learnt the godmother was to blame less than her sense of what in nature should be right. She's Princess Cinderella now. At last her prince came, a happy ever after kind of man who gilded the stool and marbled the chimney where she'd nursed her shame, so peacefully in past days, but surely prince and fool are synonymous in the land where devils dream the tale, people it with fairies, lights and sisters brought to task. The prince's bride groans, begs the clock to stop, fail, it's in its talk retreat allow her some backward look. In a new magic that would crumble her dream come true, this reality wasn't bearable, she kicked off her silver shoe. The ugly sisters, being ugly, saw with misty eyes their own humiliation raid and envy turned to pride. They marched the marble halls, new found, new wise, rosette with love for their kin, that smutty royal raped bride. Ugliness fell from them, thawed by an inward morning sun. They became that midnight pristine as gale washed shores. Now poor relations, perpetual house guests their goal won, they peacock the terraces in peace, happy place whores. To Pat, it would seem in some present tense to find this the picture, this inverted, the ugly rich in grace, Cinderella skulking by the chimneys of her mind, but dreams breed perverse realities, not a trace of thoughts in order, not a single wish grown true. Mind's devils make the fairy tales. She kicked off her silver shoe. Yes. Cinderella's Ball, meditated later by Max Harris. Next one. There's no sleight of hand. There's no sleight of hand by Vivian Smith. There's no sleight of hand not caught by art's reflection. Poetry which can't pretend is perfect lie detection. Who knows what echoes find then? The song of chaos finds. A self-intoxicated tune dazzles, confounds and blinds. Dismay is all its load. It has no way to take, but words on their proper road dance for the spirit's sake. Let candour be your guide, and may your words rejoice in art's only reward, to speak in one's own voice. Yes. Now that's lovely. Yes, speaking, using your own voice when you do poetry, of course. The next one is by Evan Jones, and it's called Boxing On. When the bell rings, you come out feeling wary, knowing yourself you lack that brilliant snap. Things change, you've lost your old need to be Larry. And when the opening comes, you see a trap. You're mad with craft. Even your slightest move has years of it, each step, each fainting lead. And as smooth as when there's weight behind the glove, you box with shadows just to keep up speed. It hurts much more now than when you're really hit, but years of training never let it show. Shocked in your stance, you give no sign of it, but moving into clinch and hitting low. You smile for cameramen who call you kid. Seen from the right, you're hardly marked at all. and make with jokes large gestures where you hid, the years of clipping marking every fall. At 30, you're already getting old, time to hang up the gloves, that's time to kill. Say 20 years, I'd rather take it cold, and when I have them, I guess I will. All right, this one is by Francis Geyer, or Geyer. Hospital evening. Sunset through the blaze of evening burns, through curtains like a firelit ghost. Croc, dreaming of snow, returns to something horrible on toast. Slapped at him by a skulky nurse whose boyfriend's waiting. Croat laughs. Food, is this food? He finds it worse than starving as he cuts and shoves. One nauseating mouthful down, Croat has managed to conceal. Some brandy in his dressing gown, he gulps it fast until the real. Sunsets a field of painted light, and his white curtains frame a stage where he's the hero and must fight his fever. He begins to rage. Fortissimo in German flings the empty bottle on the door, roars for more brandy, thumps and sings. 3 nurses crackle through the door and hold him down. He struggles then, submits to the indignities nurses inflict, and sleeps again. Dreaming he goes where the stiff trees glitter in silence, hand in hand, with a young child he does not know, who walking makes no footprints in the sand, no shadow on soft fallen snow. Hospital Evening by Francis Geyer. And the last one I've got for you from poetry, Australian poetry, 1964, The Dawn Wind Blows Cold by Robertson. This morning I woke with the dawn coming through the end of my tent. I watched the faint band of galah-breasted colour suffusing the horizon. The dawn wind blows cold, just moving the delicate, thin-limbed trees. The first magpie is fluting his song into the world. I was desolate last night. Oh, there is no wild honey stored in my bowels. Saturday morning here at the Australian Poetry Hall of Fame, we've got the Geyer Saturday morning market. It's we've got craft people, flea market people. We've got a bit of farmer produce, potatoes and honey and feijoa and all kinds of stuff, really, eggs and what. And so Saturday market here, Geyer, 8:30 to 12:30 every Saturday. And if you're a stall holder and you got something you want to sell, just give me a bell, give me a contact me, give me a bell and get in contact. Right, what else have we got happening here at the Australian Poetry Hall of Fame? On the 23rd of May, we've got Salt and Steel coming all the way from the north coast of New South Wales, and they are supported by the Dead Life Cooperative, the local Geyer Black Mountain Armidale mashup of threesome. We're really looking forward to that night. Tickets are only like $10. I mean, I got tickets into nightclubs. It used to cost me $10 like 30 years ago. So $10 for 2 bands on a Saturday night. Awesome. Check it out. Salt and Steel. It's on the Facebook page and through Glenfest events and also Salt and Steel's own website as well. No. Right, next. Okay, so the next ones I've got come out of this book here, which is 100 Australian Poems You Need to Know, edited by Jaimie Grant, and this one is Jester in the Trench by Leon Gellert. Now, Leon Gellert was born in 1892, died in 1977. So, this was, he was one of our good poets of, the 18th, 19th century. The Jester in the Trench. This is a sad one from World War One, I guess. The Jester in the Trench. That just reminds me of a yarn, he said, and everybody turned to hear his tale. He had 1,000 yarns inside his head. They waited for him, ready with their mirth, and creeping smiles, then suddenly turned pale, grew still, and gazed upon the earth. They heard no tale, no further word was said, and with his untold fun, half leaning on his gun, they left him, dead. Leon Gellert, the Jester in the trench. Now, this one is by A.D. Hope, who lived from 1907 to the year 2000. He was a poetry professor, I think, at Canberra, but he was also very well respected. Alec Derwent Hope, based on Helen Burligal. This is called Country Places, and it's all about the names of places in Australia. I glean from them signposts in these country places, weird names, some beautiful, more that make me laugh, driving to fat lamb sales or to picnic races, I pass their worshippers of the golden calf. And in the dust of their Cadillacs, the later day Habakkuk rises in me to preach comic sermons of doom, crying woe unto Tocumwal, Teddy Waddy Tooly Book, and wicked Wollumburra Wang, your hour has come. But when the 4 horsemen ride their final muster, and my sinful country sinks in the fiery rain, one name shall survive the doom and the disaster that fell on foolish cities of the plain. Like the 3 holy children or the salamander, one place shall sing and flourish in the fire. It's the Sweetwater Creek at Mullingandra, and there at the last day I shall retire. When Numbugger shrieks to Burrum Buttock, the curse of Sodom comes upon us all. When Tumbarumba calls for spade and mattock, and they bury hay and hell and Booligal. When the wrath of God is loosed upon Gilgandra, and Galargambone burns red against the west, and Galargambone burns red against the west, to Sweetwater Creek at Mullingandra, I shall rise and flee away and be at rest. When from Goonoo under Bool and Grong, and Suggan Buggan there grows up a cry, from Titty Bong, Drick and Drung, help, Lord, help us or we die. I shall lie beside a willow cool meander or cut myself a fly whiskey in the shade, and from Sweetwater Creek at Mullingandra fill my cup and wet my whistle unafraid. When Boinker lies in ruins, more's the pity, and a heavenly trump proclaims the end of grace. With Wombat is fallen that great city, adding Bunyip is in little better case. When from Puckapunyal and from Yakandanda, the cry goes up, how long, O Lord, how long? I shall hear the she-oaks sough at Mullingandra, and the sweet water ripples into song. Oh, there's little to be hoped for Grabbingullen, and Tumbulgum shrinks and shudders in its fate. Folks at Wantabadgery and Cullenbullen have Buckley's chance of reaching heaven's gate. It's all up with Cootamundra and Kiandra, and At Kalena Bright they know they're through, but at Sweetwater Creek at Mullingandra you may pitch your camp and sleep the whole night through. God shall punish Carjalico, come by chance Chinkapook. They shall dance no more at merry jig, nor drink at gentleman's holt. The sin of Moombaldool he shall in no wise overlook. Wee Jasper and little Jilby he shall not condone their fault. But though I preach down Nap and annihilate Narandra, one place shall yet be saved, this I declare. Sweetwater Creek at Mullingandra, for its name and for my sake, the Lord shall spare. Coda. Alas, my beautiful, my prosperous, my careless country, she destroys herself, the Lord will come too late. They have cut down even their only tree at one tree. Dust has choked honey bugle and drifts over creeper gate. The fires we lit ourselves on Mount Boothagandra have made more ruin than heaven's consuming flame. Even Sweetwater Creek at Mullingandra, if I went there now, would live up to its name. Now, finally tonight, I got one from the American poet Robert Service, and this is called The Cremation of Sam McGee. And the reason I'm doing this one is because I recited Bill and Me by Francis Kenner to someone the other day. And then I finished, he said, "Oh, you'd really love The Cremation of Sam McGee. I was in Canada and I heard this and I'd love for you to learn that. And when I come back, you can learn it off by heart and do it for me." All right, that's a challenge. So this is The Cremation of Sam McGee. Now, Robert Service was basically a Canadian bush poet for all intents and purposes, wrote in rhyme and metre and wrote a lot like Banjo Patterson, Henry Lawson, and our Australian bush poets. There are strange things done in the midnight sun by men who moil for gold. The Arctic trails have their secret tales that would make your blood run cold. The Northern Lights have seen queer sights, but the queerest they ever did see was a night on the marge of Lake Labarge. I cremated Sam McGee. Now, Sam McGee was from Tennessee, where the cotton's bloom and blows. Why he left his home in the south to roam round the pole, God only knows. He was always cold, but the land of gold seemed to hold him like a spell. Though he'd often say in his homely way, he'd sooner live in hell. On a Christmas day, we were mushing our way over the Dawson Trail. Talk of you cold through the parka's fold, it stabbed like a driven nail. If our eyes we'd close and the lashes froze till sometimes we couldn't see. It wasn't much fun, but the only one to whimper was Sam McGee. And that very night, as we lay packed tight in our robes beneath the snow, and the dogs were fed and the stars overhead would dance and heel and toe, he turned to me and, "Cap," he says, "I'll cash in this trip, I guess. And if I do, I'm asking that you won't refuse my last request." Well, he seemed so low that I couldn't say no. Then he says with a sort of a moan, "It's a cursed cold and it's got right hold till I'm chilled clean through to the bone. Yet 'tain't being dead, it's my awful dread of the icy grave that pains. So I want you to swear that foul or fair, you'll cremate my last remains." Well, a Pell's last thing is the things to heed, so I swore I would not fail. And we started on at the streak of dawn, but God, he looked ghostly pale. He crouched on the sleigh and he raved old Dave, he's home in Tennessee. And before nightfall, a corpse was all that was left of Sam McGee. There wasn't a breath in that land of death, and I hurried, hard driven, with a corpse half hid that I couldn't get rid of because of a promise given. It was lashed to the sleigh, and it seemed to say, "You may tax your brawn and brains, but you promised true, and it's up to you to cremate those last remains. Now, promise made is a debt unpaid, and the trail has its own stern code. In the days to come, though my lips were dumb, and my heart how I cursed that load. In the long, long night by the lone fire night, while the huskies round in a ring howled out their woes to the homeless snows, oh God, how I loathe that thing. And every day that quiet clay seemed to heavier and heavier grow, and I went on though the dogs were spent and the grub was getting low. The trail was bad and I felt half mad, but I swore I would not give in, and I'd often sing to the hateful thing and it hearkened with a grin. Till I came to the marge of Lake Labarge, and a derelict there lay. It was jammed in the ice, but I saw it twice. It was called the Ellis May. And I looked at it, and I thought a bit, and I looked at my frozen chum. Then, "Here," I said with a sudden cry, "is my crematorium." Some planks I tore from the cabin floor, and I lit the boiler fire. Some coal I found that was lying around, and I heaped the fuel high. The flames just soared, and the furnace raw, such a blaze you seldom seen. And I burrowed a hole in a glowing coal, and I stuffed in Sam McGee. Then I made a hike, for I didn't like to hear him sizzle so. And the heavens scowled, and the huskies howled, and the wind began to blow. It was icy cold, but the hot sweat rolled down my cheeks, and I don't know why. And the greasy smoke in an inky cloak went streaking down the sky. I do not know how long in the snow I wrestled with grisly fear, but the stars came out and they danced about ere again I ventured near. I was sick with dread, but I bravely said, "I'll just take a peep inside. I guess he's cooked, and it's time I looked." Then the door I opened wide, and there sat Sam, looking cool and calm in the heart of the furnace raw. And he wore a smile that you could see a mile. And he said, "Please close the door. It's fine in here, but I greatly fear you'll let in the cold and storm. Since I left Plum Tree down in Tennessee, it's the first time I've been warm." There are strange things done in the midnight sun by the men who moil for gold. The Arctic trails have their secret tales that would make your blood run cold. The northern lights have seen queer sights, but the queerest they ever did see was the night on the marge of Lake Labarge. I cremated Sam McGee. Yeah, that's cool. That is lovely. All right, I've got goosebumps all over. I don't know if it's cold or I'm hot, but I'm definitely not in the furnace. All right, well, that's it for Chillin' Tuesday on this 29th of April 2025. I'm Thundercloud. A goodbye from the Australian Poetry Hall of Fame. We'll see you later. I will catch you, Chillin' Tuesday next week. And don't forget, Wednesday Words Open Mic Poetry Night from 6:30 here at the Australian Poetry Hall of Fame, and food from Seahorse Medicine Cafe, 5:30 here also. All right, I'm Thundercloud, washing away the garbage, living rainbows after rains. Don't forget to give it a thumbs up, give it a heart thingy, and share it and subscribe. And click on the bell and give it the bell ding ding notification bell thing too. I'll see you later. Boom!